Hi everyone, welcome back to the WAC Indian History Podcast. I'm Utkarsh.
Namaste, Sumedha from Switzerland. And what are we going to discuss today, Utkarsh?
We're going to discuss the 3 hours that I did not enjoy and I spent money for,
Three and a half?
and three and a half.
Yes.
We are, of course, though it may not seem like it, because the world is full of polarized reviews on this movie. But I just went and saw the Odyssey on Sunday, and as a big, big, big fan of Greek mythology, something I've been reading since childhood. I was hoping for too much. And unfortunately, I did not like the movie, even though some people are saying Nolan is a genius. Uh, but you also saw the movie, right? What did you think about it?
I did. In fact, I saw it a day before you, Utkarsh. So
Wow.
that means I'm just, well, stupider than you, I guess. I ran to throw away my money even before other people had given me a review. So I want my money back, my 19 francs discounted ticket,
Mine was
and
cheaper.
I want 3.5 hours of my life back because I
Yeah.
didn't want to see this angsty, sad, dull, defeated
Mm,
man. Odysseus was a
mm,
hero, and Nolan is
mm,
all about these angsty white men feeling sad about what they've done and what they're going to do. I'm sorry, I have
mm.
the same opinion of what was that? Oppenheimer. What was that film?
Oh, I really did not like Oppenheimer. So now, to be fair, I did like a few movies that Christopher Nolan has done. Really, I really like the Batman movies. I liked Interstellar. I
Well,
really liked
then,
the movie.
Utkarsh, you should have loved Agamemnon in that what a Darth Vader kind of get-up, and
No, 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 no.
the giants in that same Iron Man kind of get-up. You should have loved it.
Yeah, no, 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 no. So actually, so this brings us to the topic of the podcast. The
Yeah,
reason
just
we're
in
talking
case you
about,
thought
you're wondering
that
why we
we've
have
suddenly changed to
turned
a
into
movie
to film
review
critics.
podcast.
Yeah. No, we're not, but the Odyssey and the Iliad are actually very relevant to our podcast because we'll tell you about the connections with India, with Indian history. But what I wanted to say about the movie is that for a fan of Greek history or Greek mythology, I thought it just did not do justice. The story of the Cyclops, for example, is such a rich story, and was turned into this grotesque monster thingy which kind of fell asleep out of nowhere and kind of just gobbled up. It was just the real Cyclops is not real as per the epics.
Real as it gets. But Utkarsh, strangely enough, I am just back from the Greek islands. I went
Yeah,
to Crete for my
where
birthday
you met the
last week.
Minotaur. Has he seen the
Well,
movie yet?
you asked me for a selfie with the Minotaur. Sorry, can't oblige. But the light in
Hmm.
Greece, the
Hmm.
landscape is
Hmm.
just it's glowing and unearthly, and the light is beautiful. Why has it been made into this dull
Yeah, the
gray?
movie is just
The
gray.
Aegean Sea, the Ionian Sea are sparkling blue. They really take your breath away,
Actually, now
and
that you
the
mention
light
it,
is
going
so
back to turning into a film critic, this whole movie is about Christopher Nolan has filmed it on IMAX cameras, and there are only 7 screens in the world that can do justice. The whole thing was grey. I think I could get a better result from. No, no, I'm not comparing myself to Christopher Nolan, but what I'm saying is his visual choice to make the movie as grey as what he did was just, yeah, it was just dull, depressing. Yeah.
But
So,
there
anyways,
is a flip side to this. The positive side is that there is a lot of interest in the Odyssey, in the Iliad, in the heroes, in Greek mythology, and we can use this to tell the
hmm,
story of the traveling of Indian ideas to Greece.
hmm,
So,
yeah.
Utkarsh, a couple of
So,
months ago, I met a person who watches our
hmm,
podcast. So
hmm,
he told me that I find it very, very amazing and sometimes just unbelievable that you pick up any topic and then you
hmm,
connect it back to India. So you
hmm,
have
hmm,
all
hmm.
kinds of topics. I was listening to fingerprinting and you connected it back to India. So see,
Yeah.
that is the magic of our podcast. That is the truth
Yes.
of our podcast.
Yeah.
And
Though
we
I'll
will
give you the
connect
other
the
side,
flip
which
side.
they're like, which some people told me you just find the Indian connection to anything in a negative way. But I'm like, it's true. It just happens to be the case,
Yeah. So
and these are not tenuous connections.
the person I met was very happy about it, but the people you spoke to may have thought that we are making things out of thin air. But I'm sure people
Yeah.
who have now watched us for all these
Yeah.
number of months know that we
Yeah.
base ourselves on evidence.
Correct.
And again,
Absolutely.
like we keep saying, we are the last standing Bronze Age civilization.
Mm,
So a lot of things will, willy nilly be traced back to us.
yeah.
It's just logic.
Though in the movie they said the age of bronze is ending, and the men
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the sea are
yeah.
going to end it.
I mean, how pretentious and stupid. How
Yeah.
does he know that is going to be called the Bronze Age by some people thousands of years later?
Oh
I'm
man, we
sorry,
should just
you may have a great opinion of Nolan and his intelligence. When I told people I didn't like Oppenheimer, they just told me, you're too dumb. You don't
no.
understand
The
Nolan's
Oppenheimer
theories, you're too dumb.
assumed you understand U.S. politics and the inner
Yeah.
workings of how they. And I'm like, why should I understand that? That
Yeah.
should not be a
And not only
prerequisite.
understand Utkarsh, enjoy, like it. So it's
Yeah.
like going and sitting and listening to the Samajwadi Party and the BJP's
Yeah.
thing in UP. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't know. I'm not interested then.
Hmm.
So,
But
well,
anyways, to bring it back on topic, so the two
yes.
or three questions that I had for you, right? Because we can go about criticizing this all day. God knows we haven't even gotten into casting and all that yet. That's a whole
Yes,
different ball game.
yes,
But the three
yes.
things that I wanted to ask you. One, right? When I saw this movie, even though Nolan had completely strayed, altered, whatever the story, I could not help but get a sniff of the Indian epics, right? The whole thing with the bows, right?
Yeah,
Anybody who's seen any Ramayana or Mahabharata knows the whole,
yeah,
the bow thing. That was one thing. Secondly, just the idea, just the kind of, what should I say? Uh, the hero, it is, of course, it is the archetypical hero's journey, but you kind of see that in the Indian epics as well in scope. So yeah, so I got a whiff of the Indian epics. I wanted to get that because I remember we had this conversation more than 2 years ago, and we were talking about something, and you were like, we will at some point in time do an episode on the Iliad and the Odyssey and the connection to
yes,
India. So I
yes.
wanted to
And
ask you
Nolan
about
has
that
given
connect.
us that
That
hook on which to hang
yeah,
this.
correct. And the second thing I wanted to ask you beyond the thematic connections which may exist, which we'll talk about. Are there parallel characters in Indian mythology or as itihas, as we say many times? In case those of you have not seen why, we'll explain again. In itihas, are there parallel characters to the characters that you see in the Odyssey? That is really my question.
Yes. So we'll roll it along in the path that you have pointed out, that you set out, and you can just keep, pushing the ball or the stone, whichever side you like. I just
Yep.
want to start with a simple, very basic parallel. Homer's epics and our itihas, we don't call them epics, but people who translate do tend to call the Ramayana and the Mahabharata epics instead of itihas. They perform a similar role. So for Homer's epics, it is a foundational story for the Greeks. There were a number of Greek islands, a number of Greek kingdoms, and this is a kind of unifying story for them all to believe in one hero, one pantheon of gods. It is a bedrock of Greek civilization, and since, as again I have had cause to mention before, the Europeans in the 17th, 18th century adopted Greece as their motherland. They think of it as the basis of their civilization too. And please note, everyone who has or has not read the Iliad and the Odyssey, one of the characters who is a survivor from the war in Troy, Aeneas, he has a book in Latin written in the first century called the Aeneid.
Hmm.
And that is the foundation story of Rome. So that is the foundation story of the Roman Empire. Homer wrote this somewhere around the 6th, 7th century, 8th century, before the Common Era. The dating is not that simple. It's based on
Hmm.
what other people said of other people. There are no contemporary accounts, but that is a rough kind of dating. And
Hmm.
that dating is again very significant. I want you to hang on to it, say 7th,
Hmm.
8th century BCE. Now, for the Itihas, that is the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, we have discussed many times that these are the pillars of Indic civilization, and not just in the Indian subcontinent, but they have traveled to the Southeast Asian countries. They have traveled to so
Hmm.
many places. We've already done
Yep.
episodes on this. The foundational nature of both of these is well established. Nobody would actually deny
Hmm.
that. Now, what
Hmm.
about Utkarsh, how do we place them in the timeline? As always, that is a big issue because there are some comparative scholars who
Hmm.
have decided to place itihas in the third, fourth centuries of the Common Era, and then they go on to make up that. Remember the PIE, which we again have discussed that it's a made-up language. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
decide that there was a PIE, there were some concepts and stories in that, and first it was Homer who took them in the 8th century, and slowly in the next 1,000 years they traveled to India. Now, this is manifestly absurd because there are so many different types of versions of art based on the itihas much before the 4th century that
Hmm.
it's just totally absurd. But what is the problem, Utkarsh, is that there is a written version of Homer which is earlier than written versions of itihas. Why? Because the Vedic civilization was an oral one.
Hmm. Hmm.
So therefore, if you compare written versions,
Hmm.
till some time ago, the earliest written version of the Ramayana was from the 11th century, and that too in Nepal.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
was the earliest written version. Does that mean that the story of the Ramayana is only 900 years old? It doesn't. In
Hmm.
2015, another manuscript was found from the 6th century CE. This
Hmm.
again does not mean that it's dated to the 6th century. The
Hmm.
idea of an oral civilization makes it very difficult to pin things down depending on written versions. Therefore,
Hmm.
also this confusion amongst Western scholars because they
Hmm.
try to compare written versions. Only
Hmm.
thing I would like to say is maybe we can do an episode on dating of Mahabharata and Ramayana, which we have never
Yeah.
yet touched because I feel it's a very complicated and difficult topic. But
Hmm.
one thing I can mention is that we have one inscription. That inscription is the inscription of Pulakesan II, who was a Chalukya king in the 7th century. And over there, if you read the inscription, is clearly marked how many years have passed since the war of the Mahabharata.
And
And it,
what does it say?
3102 BCE is the date of the war of the Mahabharata according to that Aihole inscription. This inscription is found in Aihole in Karnataka.
Okay.
So that's if you take this now, this is may not be the last word, but it is an inscriptional version
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
traditional dating of the Mahabharata.
What is the dating of this war? The Trojan. Is it Trojan War? It's
Around the
called
same
Trojan War,
time,
right?
around the same time, 7th,
It's
8th
supposed to
century
have.
BCE.
No, no. So, what is according to Homer? When did that happen?
Yeah, so
The
just
Trojan War.
about say 100 years ago, before that, just some time before that.
So, sorry, 700-800 BC,
Yeah, yeah,
BCE, and
yeah.
the Ramayana Mahabharata supposed according to that inscription is 3100 BCE. So, 2000
Yeah.
years before the Trojan War. Okay,
Yes, and
okay.
Utkarsh, the Mahabharata is dated to 3102
Mahabharata,
BCE.
of course. Ramayan's before
Huh.
that. I was just
Ramayana
saying
is
that.
much, much before that because the
Yeah,
Ramayana in short form is present in the
yeah,
Mahabharata. So,
yeah,
there is absolutely, it is really ridiculous to try and pretend that everything came
hmm.
from the Greeks, but we know this habit of these dead white men
Yeah. We've
and
talked at
Aryan
length about
scholars.
this
Yeah,
entire
we've talked about it a
bias.
lot of times.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
interesting thing is that Homer does place the Trojan War as the
Hmm.
end of an era, the era of the old heroes, the era of the old values, and this is a
Hmm.
destruction of all that, and it is a
Yeah.
movement into something new.
Hmm.
So for
Yeah.
us also, the Ramayana happened in the Treta Yuga. People, go back to our episode on Yuga if you don't understand this. The Ramayana
Yeah.
happened in the Treta Yuga, Mahabharata happened in the Dwapar Yuga, and it ended. The Dwapar Yuga ended with the Mahabharata and we came into today's Kali Yuga. So these are both very significant wars. These are
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
wars to end all wars. That is why you have this whole lineup of warriors.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
this is, the way in which we can position and put in
Hmm.
perspective what we are going
Yeah.
to talk about now.
Yeah.
We will talk about more, specific, very specific
Yeah.
parallels.
Hmm.
Utkarsh, would it help if we just talked about the story of the Iliad and the Odyssey, or do you
Yes.
think that our listeners
No,
would be familiar with it?
let's do it because I mean Odyssey now maybe people have some idea. Iliad, most people are still swimming in It's they know about it. They've read what there's something called the Iliad. So why don't we just give a, I don't
Okay.
know,
So,
10
and what
minutes.
we, yeah, what we are going to do is look at the Iliad and the Odyssey as
Hmm,
well as one or two lost epics of the Greeks and
hmm,
consider them as the Homeric epics. And we are going to look at Itihas and Puran, and we will also look at the Katha Sarit Sagar or the Bad Kaha, that other story cluster, which again I have talked about before, because there are
hmm,
some
hmm,
very interesting
hmm,
parallels
hmm,
from
hmm.
there too. So it's not just Itihas, but also the story cluster of the Bad Kaha, which is again 5th, 6th
Yeah,
century BCE, but we
yeah,
mostly have the best version of the 11th century Katha Sarit
yeah,
Sagar.
yeah,
So we'll talk about all these. So the Iliad
yeah.
is centered around Helen. Helen is the
Hmm,
most beautiful princess of the Greek islands.
hmm,
She has a number of suitors. All the
hmm,
warriors in Greece want to marry her, so they arrive at her father's place. She's from Sparta. So then these suitors start fighting with each other. Then it is our friend Odysseus.
so sorry. So Helen of Troy is from Sparta. I thought she was
Yeah,
born from a swan or something. Some.
I'll tell you that later. But
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
her earthly father is the king of Sparta. When we
Okay.
talk about the parallels between Helen and
Yeah.
Sita Ji and Draupadi, then I'll tell you about that story too.
Okay. Got
But
it.
for the moment, in the Iliad,
Hmm, hmm,
all the suitors fight. Odysseus puts forth a solution that if there is not to be a destructive war,
hmm.
every suitor will accept whoever Helen marries, and there is an
Okay.
oath which is sworn. That is the oath of Tyndareus. That
Hmm,
if anyone then tries to abduct Helen or put
hmm.
some spoke in the wheel of the marriage, then all the people who are there, all the suitors will band together to help. Finally, Menelaus is chosen by Helen's father and she marries him. And Odysseus marries her cousin Penelope, which is exactly what he wanted right from the beginning. He
Hmm,
was
hmm,
not that much into Helen, he wanted to marry Penelope. So this
hmm,
happens. Then, after
hmm,
that, after a few years, Paris, the handsome king of Troy, prince of Troy, visits
hmm,
Menelaus,
hmm,
and then he falls in love with Helen.
hmm,
Helen also falls in love with him, and
hmm,
they run away together. So
hmm,
remember that it's not a question of abduction.
hmm,
Helen fell in love with Paris. So
hmm,
if we try to compare Paris and Ravan, we will get nowhere. Because
hmm, hmm,
Ravan is the very embodiment of evil, Paris is not. And
hmm,
Helen
hmm.
falls in love with him. According to all accounts, she
Yeah.
is not happy with Menelaus. So,
But in any case,
anyways,
I'm assuming there is no parallel between Iliad and Ramayana. It's not the same story, right? That's not what you're
no,
saying.
but there are actually, Utkarsh. There are.
Okay, okay, okay. Then I'll let you
There are.
continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you abducted, ran away, whatever you like, Helen goes away
Yeah.
with Paris. And then
Hmm.
Menelaus has an older brother who is called
Hmm.
Agamemnon. He's the king of Mycenae.
Hmm.
And he says that now I will get your wife back for you. He unites all the warriors of Greece and he
Yeah.
arrives there to fight. So
Yeah.
that is the story of the Iliad. This is the Trojan
Yeah.
War. Troy is
Hmm.
one of the most, is the strongest Greek kingdom. Not
Hmm.
easy, so it takes them many, many
Even
years,
though
till
it's in
9 years.
Even though it's in modern day Turkey, as we now know,
But
and we
then,
know what that.
Utkarsh, modern day Turkey and borders and all are, of course, redrawn many, many
Yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah. No, no. I'm giving a Easter egg to our episode
Okay.
where we talked about Helen of
Okay.
Troy. We talked about Schliemann, right? The German
Yes.
guy. We
Yes.
talked about Swastik. We talked about
Yes. Yes.
the
Yeah.
mistaken ideas that led to the swastik being found in Troy, leading
Yes.
to then believing it was a ancient symbol, which was from the fictional Aryans. Hitler
Yes.
latched onto that idea. That whole thing comes
So
from
you
Troy.
see where things lead. See where things
Yeah,
lead. Yeah.
yeah.
So then, actually, the Iliad opens in the ninth year of the Trojan War. All the warriors of Greece have failed to
Hmm.
beat Troy. So then we all know what happened. Achilles and then Odysseus decides
So the
that,
Iliad starts in the ninth year. Yeah, Trojan War was 10 years long, right? Yeah,
yeah, yes,
yeah.
it starts in the ninth year of the Trojan War, and it gives you the events in the last 1 year, because for the rest
Hmm.
of the 9 years is basically they're laying siege to Troy and getting nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, after that, then of course, through a whole series of great fights and tragic events and everything, Troy is beaten by the trick of the Trojan horse. They are not able to
Hmm.
beat down the walls. So it's
Hmm.
basically Odysseus' idea
Hmm.
to make
Hmm.
that Trojan horse and to put himself and other soldiers inside so that they can
Hmm.
open
Hmm.
the the doors from inside. So then they take
Hmm.
over Troy and destroy Troy, and
Hmm.
most of the warriors die, but some of them are still alive. Like Menelaus
Hmm.
lives, and Agamemnon lives, but
Hmm.
Paris dies, Hector dies.
Hmm.
Aeneas famously lives, and then he goes on to establish the whole civilization of Italy.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you
Hmm.
some very interesting things about that. But anyway, so
Okay.
this is the Iliad. This is where it ends.
Okay.
And the Odyssey is the
Hmm.
return of Odysseus from Troy to Ithaca. So
Hmm.
this is a journey in the Ionian Sea.
Hmm.
And navigation was very difficult before calculus. Remember, Utkarsh? We talked about this before.
Poor Odysseus didn't have calculus. Oh my
He
God.
did have
If only
calculus.
he did.
Yeah, if only. And he didn't know about latitude. So what to do?
Hmm.
Poor fellow, he was smacked here and there by wind and current, and he met many monsters and many,
Uh,
many exciting adventures. And then he
yeah.
reached back home. His wife was the queen of Ithaca. So,
Hmm.
no place can be, there's a vacuum when there's no king. So, a lot
Hmm.
of suitors had come to insist that she marry one of them. She
Hmm.
had an infant child. Some
Hmm.
say that he was born before Odysseus went to fight the Trojan War. Others say that he was not the son of Odysseus and was born later. This is also an
Hmm.
important point at the end. But
Hmm. Hmm.
anyway, so this Telemachus is there, and
Hmm.
we've seen how, I mean, you and I have seen in the film how
Hmm.
Odysseus comes back as a beggar and then he
Yeah.
performs that bow test
Yeah.
and he kills all the suitors. And in this
Hmm.
film, very inexplicably, he sits down, he gets onto a ship and wanders off. It reminded me of the ending of Lord of the Rings, Utkarsh, when Frodo goes off to the east. So was he copying Lord of the Rings?
What happens in the Odyssey? In the real
So
Odyssey?
in the Odyssey, he settles down with her for some time. However,
Yeah.
after that, he also has to undertake another voyage because of something to do with Poseidon, and there
Hmm.
is yet another lost epic which is called the Telegonia, which tells us of
Hmm.
events which happen afterwards. He is
Hmm.
finally killed by his son from the sorceress Circe. Circe,
Hmm.
or if you want to pronounce it in the Greek way, it is Kirke.
Okay, but in the movie, he was living with Charlize. Sorry, who was that?
Calypso.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so he also has sons by Calypso.
Okay.
So
So none of
no
these sons
issues
made
there.
any appearances in
No,
the
no,
Odyssey.
except Telemachus. The other
Yeah,
one, Telegon,
Telemachus did. Yeah,
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 Telegonus
correct.
did not make any appearance, and he
Hmm.
has sons by Calypso. So heroes collecting wives slash partners and
Yeah,
having lots of children is
yeah,
throughout history, and
yeah,
we
yeah.
have a lot of it in the Mahabharata also. Bhim
Hmm.
marries Hidimba and has a son called
Yeah.
Ghatotkacha, and
Hmm.
Arjun marries Ulupi. Arjun
Yeah.
marries Chitrangada. He has
Hmm.
a son called Babruvahan, and
Hmm.
Babruvahan actually kills Arjun, and Ulupi then revives him. Babruvahan is the son of Chitrangada. So you
Hmm.
see again killing of the father
Hmm.
unknown to the warrior that this person is my father, and he kills him in a fight. This is
Yeah, yeah.
also a recurring thing, but we'll
Hmm.
go to that later. So this is
Hmm.
the story of the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Hmm.
Now, I think before we go on to more specific parallels and points, should we just discuss in a very brief fashion how this would have gone if I am saying, and I am saying it, that ideas from Itihas and the Badkaha in India did reach Greece? If I
Hmm.
say so, why do I say
Hmm.
so? what is the way in which this could have been transmitted. So there are many eras to consider, but which era will
Hmm.
we be interested in? Obviously, very old one. The main era of consolidation after Alexander, the Mauryans, and Seleucus. Again, we have dealt with this in one of our
Hmm.
episodes. So
Hmm.
you can go and watch that. That is too late for our purposes because that is like in the 4th century BCE, by which time Homer had already written everything, Itihas was fixed, so there's no point in discussing that.
Hmm.
There is
Hmm.
another Persian Empire, the Achaemenids of Cyrus the Great, etc. But this is also 6th century BCE. I would argue that this is also too late. If
Hmm.
Homer
Hmm.
wrote it in the 8th century, there's no point in thinking what was happening in the
Yeah.
6th century
Yeah.
BC, right? So,
Yeah.
where do we have to go? We have to go back
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
the Meluha and Mesopotamian corridor from
Hmm.
2500 BCE onward. That is the Saraswati Sindhu.
Hmm.
Again,
Hmm. Hmm.
I invite all our listeners to
Hmm.
please go to our episode on Iran. We have
Hmm.
discussed it very, very clearly that Greater Persia and Bharat were
Hmm.
neighbors.
Hmm.
Then
Hmm.
there were many, many contacts. There
Hmm.
were, we've shown you pictures or rather
Hmm.
representations of the chronology of these two civilizations.
Hmm.
We've
Hmm. Hmm.
shown you the links between the Saraswati Sindhu and
Hmm.
Mesopotamia, mentioned
Hmm.
in Sumeria, in Acadia, and in
Hmm.
Meluha, etc., etc. So, what is the connection? Right next to this is are the Greek islands, and it is from here that it went on to. So, the Persian Gulf was the spine of a lot of maritime trade. That is why we
Hmm.
have so many of these tablets and so many of these artifacts. So, materials, techniques, and narratives flowed from Mesopotamia, then to Anatolia and to Eastern Mediterranean, that is the Greek islands, that is the Greek speaking populations. Now, this by itself is not any proof. If this corridor existed, doesn't mean that something must have gone. For
Hmm.
that, we
Hmm.
will discuss some more. But I will note here that, you are also, there is a principle of parsimony which is Occam's razor. You're familiar with that? That
Yep.
the simplest solution is possibly the truest one. The
Yep.
minimum number of assumptions you have to make, the better it is. So
Yep.
if idea A existed in one place before it existed in another place, and there was
Yeah.
a corridor of connection between the two, the most
Hmm.
likely explanation is that the idea flowed from A to
Hmm.
B.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So we are going to use that idea
Okay.
of interpretation also.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now we know that these are two basic pillars of Greek and Indian civilization. We
Hmm.
know that there was a process of movement.
Hmm.
We have told you the story. So how should we move forward? Utkarsh, now you can ask the
No,
specific
so
questions that you
I want you to spell out for me why idea B. So we know what idea B here is, right? Idea B here is the Iliad and the
Place B.
Odyssey.
Place B is Greece
Idea
and idea is Odyssey. Yes, Odyssey and Iliad.
idea is Odyssey, Iliad and Odyssey. So place B is Greece, place A is in India. So
Yeah.
what is the original form of the idea that you say that is the same idea?
Hmm. Okay, so you have
Or a
to.
slight or a slightly modified idea, right? Like
Yeah.
things can happen. Yeah.
What I would like you to keep in mind, and everyone who's listening, that there are elements of both the Mahabharat and the Ramayana in the Odyssey and the Iliad. So you can't say Ramayana equal to Iliad and Mahabharat equal to Odyssey. You cannot say that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the ideas have been picked up from all of Itihas and then mixed
Hmm.
together in, Homer's own way and
Hmm.
localized to Homer's own way. For example, if you try to think of Odysseus and Penelope as Sri Ram and Sita, I mean, you won't get very far because they are
Hmm.
not. For us, Sri Ram and Sita themselves are the deities. Sri Ram is an avatar.
Hmm. Hmm.
Odysseus is not an avatar. He's not even a demigod. He is just a mortal.
Hmm.
Penelope is also just a mortal. The
Hmm.
about Helen, of course, the thing is different because she is the daughter of Zeus and Leda,
Hmm.
the swan. So
Hmm.
Zeus fell in love with that swan, God knows why. But anyway, and after that, that's I find this very bizarre, Utkarsh. I mean, one is used to all kinds of bizarre things happening, but of all, this is the most bizarre. And anyway, after that, the swan laid an egg, and Helen
Hmm.
was born from that egg. That is
Hmm.
why her beauty was out of this world, and it was going to have a cosmic result on the world. It was not anything normal, it was not anything
Hmm.
mortal. She
Hmm.
herself was a demigod.
Hmm.
So, if we want to say that Sita is equal to Helen, not really.
Hmm.
Are we going to say Sita is equal to Penelope? Not really.
Hmm.
But what
Hmm.
are the ideas behind it? The idea behind it is one, if we look at Penelope and Sita, that is the loyal wife. This is the
Hmm.
idea of the loyal wife.
Hmm.
Penelope did not give in to any of her suitors. She waited for
Hmm.
20 long years, even a little more actually, more like
Hmm.
28, 30 if you count everything, for her
Hmm.
husband to come back. And she resisted all the suitors. Sita resisted Ravan, even though
Hmm.
he offered her all the riches in the world. And you know that he said that I have so many beautiful queens, all of them will be your dasis
Hmm.
if you consent to become my wife. But
Hmm.
she had just, the Ramcharitmanas says, Trinadhari oat. That means she just took the support of a little grass piece
Hmm.
and said, this is going to stop you from getting to me because of the way I love my husband.
Hmm.
So this is what is the idea that of the loyal wife, and how has
Hmm.
it been worked out in different ways. Penelope works it out in a different way, and Sita ji works it out in a different way,
Hmm.
because for us, or in the epic, in our epic, they are both deities.
Hmm.
This is one idea. There is the other idea of the displaced wife. That is the abducted wife. So Sita ji was abducted, and there is absolutely no doubt about it, because that itself, Sita Haran, is a very big thing in our culture. Most accounts Helen was abducted, but there are some things that are a little different. The Greek gods are pretty mischievous and pretty difficult by nature, and they like to interfere in mortal matters, and they like to tempt this one and
Hmm.
play to the greed of that one, etc. So Paris,
Aren't the Greek gods more like the Devtas, if you think of it,
yes,
versus the
very fractious devtas also, Utkarsh. They're
Hmm.
always fighting with each other and interfering in the whatever mortals are doing. So Paris once had to judge a competition about who is the most beautiful of them all, and
Hmm.
Aphrodite bribed him by saying, "If you vote
Hmm.
for me, then I will get Helen for you." So he voted for her. She became most beautiful. Then she made Helen fall in love with Paris. So
Hmm.
then you cannot say that this was fair play. This was not. It was not really Helen's wish.
Hmm.
But something happened which made her
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
this. So this
Hmm.
is the idea of the displaced or abducted wife, the woman who is taken away from the family she is married into, and that family does its best to get her back. For
Hmm.
Menelaus, it is Agamemnon, and then Agamemnon gets all the suitors together and all the Greek warriors together. In the case of Sri Ram, he has his brother. So you can think of, Menelaus as being like Lakshman.
Hmm.
And here you also have Troy, and you have Hector. Hector helps him.
Hmm.
Although finally, Hector loses his life, but Hector helps him. So you see two ideas: the idea of an abducted or displaced wife, and the idea of the loyal wife.
Hmm.
These are exemplified in different ways depending on the culture of the concerned civilization. They are worked out in very different ways. So
Hmm.
any questions?
No, got it. I hear these ideas. I don't know how to allocate exclusivity. That I mean, I get it. The parallels are there. These are similar ideas, but then I would say a lot of stories have many parallels in terms of how they move along. So that's where maybe you find me seeking a more direct connection between the two
Utkarsh, I
beyond these
don't think that
themes.
you will get a very direct connection, but let's go on with this discussion because
Yeah.
it's not as if I will be able to tell you, look, this was written
Hmm.
here in the Ramayana and here it is written in here.
Yeah, that obviously not.
Doesn't
Hmm.
happen like that. It's not going to happen like that. But let us go on with this discussion and we see how these ideas went. I will evoke or remind you of that Occam's razor and parsimony again, because these are
Yeah.
not random ideas. These are not random ideas. These are very specific ideas.
Hmm. Hmm.
And given the culture of the time, yes, abductions, etc., were happening. But the question of an abducted wife being brought back via a very large scale war is not a random idea.
Hmm. 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 No,
So
I
that
see
is a
that.
very
That's fair.
specific idea. Yeah.
Hmm.
So now what we will do is go to the very most interesting and detailed thing, that is the test of the bow and arrow.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
So there in the our itihas there are two times that this happens. So it's Sita Swayamvar
Hmm.
and the other is when Arjun goes to Draupadi Swayamvar.
Hmm.
Sita Swayamvar has been represented in some different ways, in different versions, but in the Valmiki Ramayana, the suitors, the unsuccessful suitors are in the background. They have kind of come and gone.
Hmm.
They are not right there when Ramji appears. Ramji has gone to fight Talka because Vishwamitra has said so, and then Vishwamitra takes him to Janak's court and says, "This is Ram of Ayodhya. I want you to show him that big bow and
Hmm.
which is there with you, and you have promised your daughter to whoever strings that bow. In Sanskrit, it is called Shar Sandhan." And
Hmm.
there is an interesting backstory to this. That bow was the bow of Lord Shiva. Lord
Hmm.
Shiva had given it to the gods at the time of Daksha's Yagya. Daksha's Yagya is the time when Sati had jumped into the fire. We have talked about this also before.
Yes. Yep.
So then Shivaji gave it to Devvrat, who was an ancestor of Janak, and since then it had been in the family of the Mithila rulers.
Hmm.
One day, Raja Janak saw that Sita ji was cleaning some of the place where that bow was kept, and she pretty casually picked it up, dusted
Hmm.
under it, and put it back.
Hmm.
Now, this was something which 500 men needed to together pick it. Pick it up, 500 men were needed, the strength of
Hmm.
500 men. So,
Hmm.
of course, he was astonished that my daughter is picking it up so casually. So, naturally, her husband must be one who can pick it
Hmm.
up and who can
Hmm.
do the Shar Sandhan or, string the bow. Only that person will be able to marry my daughter.
Yep.
Now we must go back to Sita ji and Helen, perhaps,
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
divine women. So, who was Sita ji? She was not a normal born of the womb, not a
Hmm.
normal person like that. She was found as a little baby in a furrow. That's why she's called Sita. A furrow is the line left by a plow in the field.
Yeah.
Sita is also the name of an agricultural tax which is mentioned right from the Rig Veda. So this has connections with agriculture. It has connections with the dawn of civilization through agriculture and Bhumi. So she is seen as the daughter of Bhumi Devi, who is
Hmm.
another form of Devi in our pantheon. So she herself is a deity. She's not a normal person or a
Hmm.
normal woman, just like Helen. So you see another parallel over here.
Hmm.
Helen is a demigod and Sita ji is a deity. So to come back to the story, Ram and Lakshman are over there, and of course, Sri Ram picks it up very easily, and he strings the bow, that is Shar Sandhan, and then the bow breaks with
Hmm.
a noise which rends the heavens asunder. Everyone over there faints, except Sri Ram and Vishwamitra and Lakshman and Janak, and of course
Hmm.
Sita ji. Everyone faints. And this happens in all versions of the Ramayana. Although, in the Tulsi Ramayana, the suitors are very much there in the court, and then all the suitors have tried, and then they fail and they
Yeah.
faint.
Correct.
Afterwards, they fight with Sri Ram. But in the Valmiki Ramayana, no. What happens is
Hmm.
that then everyone is happy and the marriage
Hmm.
takes place. there is yet another test, Utkarsh. Once he leaves with Sita ji, he meets another very great, demigod of our pantheon, that is Parshuram. He's one of the
Hmm.
avatars. He's one of the Dasha avatars, and he's very angry. That why have you taken Shiva's bow? So there's a lovely, lovely dialogue between him and Lakshman, which is one of my favorites from the Ramcharitmanas. I would recommend it to everyone. But anyway, what he says is that, how dare you do this? I'm going to kill you just now with my parashu, that is his axe. Then,
Yeah.
otherwise, you take my bow. This is Vishnu's bow. Take
Hmm.
it and you string it. Then I'll see if I can let you go. So Sri Ram, of course, since he's an avatar of Vishnu, he strings it very easily. And Parshuram says sorry because this is Vishnu Bhagwan, and he goes away. So these are two bow tests. Then you know about Draupadi,
Hmm.
Draupadi Swayamvar. In the
Yeah, the eye of
Draupadi
the
Swayamvar,
fish.
yeah. So what has happened in the Draupadi Swayamvar is that the Pandavas, Duryodhan, you remember Duryodhan, who is the actual
Yeah,
villain
of
of
course, of course.
So Duryodhan has made an attempt to kill Bhim via poison. Then he attempts to kill all five brothers and their mother by burning down the Lakshagriha, the house of wax that he has had made for them.
Hmm.
But they
Hmm.
find out and they dig a tunnel and they run away. And they are in Agyatwas for say a couple of years or 3 years. They are hiding. While they are hiding, this Draupadi Swayamvar is happening. Now, who is Draupadi? Drupad is one of the biggest enemies of the Kurus because he has a fight with the Kurus. So
Hmm.
he wants a warrior, a son or a warrior to destroy the Kurus. So he does a yagya. From
Hmm.
that yagya come out two people. One is Drupad's son, and the other is Drupad's daughter.
Hmm.
Drupad's daughter is Draupadi. So she is also called Yagyasaini because she emerges from a Yagya. You see, she is not born normally. She is born as a fully grown woman from the
Okay.
Yagya. And she is born for the destruction of the Kauravas. So
Hmm.
he wants a warrior who will be able to destroy the Kauravas. That's the point. So
Hmm.
everyone has come there, whole pantheon of warriors. Nobody is able to do that test. What is that test? There is water. There is a kind of receptacle of water. Then there is a column, a revolving
Hmm.
column, which goes up from that water. And another thing is attached to it, and there's a fish over there.
Hmm.
So what the fish is revolving around the attachment. So what the
Correct.
warrior has to do is to look at the reflection in the water and shoot the fish eye. Utkarsh, would you like to see a representation of this?
I mean, I think I'm familiar, but sure, why not? I won't say no
Yeah.
to a picture.
Yeah. It's interesting to see any picture.
Hmm. Yeah.
So forgive me while I go to the. This is Sita Swayamvar, which we've already talked about.
Yep.
Oh, no, I've done something wrong. 1 minute. I have to stop, not show the floating meeting controls. Yeah, they are a pain. This is a painting by Raja Ravi Verma.
Hmm.
Raja Ravi Verma is one of the foremost painters of
Yep.
modern India. This is a painting by him. Now, this is Arjun at the Draupadi Swayamvar. So, you see what he's doing.
This is
He is
not a painting by
looking
Raja
down.
Ravi Verma.
Oh, no. This is something very crude. Just a general thing. No, not at all. Poor Raja Ravi Verma, not at all. So this, but you see, this picture showed more clearly what he's doing. He's looking
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
and shooting up. So
Yeah.
what is it showing? Skill. What did
Yeah.
this Sita Swayamvar show? This showed strength,
Hmm.
and this shows skill.
Hmm.
And there are many other representations, okay, which I'm not this was the Trojan horse of Odyssey, which we've just seen, Utkarsh.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
No, this is from the movie, right?
Yeah.
This is
This
the
from the
yeah.
movie, exactly. The one you and I have
Yeah.
just seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Well, you want that for your back garden to remind yourself of the.
No way, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah.
So, can you can see me, right? I've closed the windows.
No, right now I still see the Trojan horse.
You still see the Trojan horse.
Yeah. I know his weight now.
I don't know what's happening. Why is
It's
it
okay.
not?
You can just, maybe it'll happen. You can continue talking. Anyways, the content is what you're speaking.
No, but I don't think I want you to keep seeing that.
Okay, now it's
Has it
back.
gone now?
No more Trojan
Am I
horse.
back?
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to the story of Odysseus. What happens? Odysseus comes back and
Hmm.
he disguises himself because, well, obviously it's better to be on the safe side given the reception Agamemnon had got from his wife who murdered
Hmm.
him. So I think he thought
Hmm.
it better to find out what's happening. He has
Hmm.
a private reunion with Telemachus. Then that's his son, and
Yeah.
then he disguises himself as a beggar and goes to the place where Penelope is weaving his shroud and saying that once the shroud is over, I'll marry one of you. But then she has
Hmm.
decided that, okay, now today is the day. So he goes disguised over there. And remember the disguise because there is a parallel over there. Arjun is also in disguise. Sri Ram is not in disguise. Remember, Arjun is in disguise.
Hmm.
And here, Odysseus is also in disguise. And he
Hmm.
goes there, and Penelope sets a test that anyone who can string this bow, which belongs to
Hmm.
my husband, and then shoot
Hmm.
it through 12 axes, is going to marry me. Now, none of the suitors is capable of doing that. It's
Hmm.
only Odysseus who he takes his bow. Now that bow is a special one. It is a composite recurve bow in which the ends curve away from the main
Hmm.
curve. So it's very
Hmm.
difficult, needs a lot of strength to
Hmm.
actually string that bow.
Hmm.
So then, of course, he does it and he shoots it through the axe holes. And by the way, the description in the Odyssey is not at all the way Nolan saw it in his head. There's
Hmm.
actually some ring hafts, round ring hafts. So you have to do it through 12 rings.
Okay.
Here, Utkarsh, it becomes both. It becomes a test of strength as well as skill.
Yeah, it's a combination.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you saw strength and you saw skill, and here you have both strength and
Hmm.
skill.
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
is the story of Odysseus, and after that,
Hmm.
Odysseus reunites with him. There's an interesting flip over here. You remember that in the Ramayana, once Ramji had defeated Ravan and Lakshmanji gets Sita to him, he says that no, I will not accept you so easily. You will have to go through an Agni Pariksha. And she does
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
and she comes through unscathed. Here, once Odysseus finishes this, Penelope says, still no, I am not going to marry you till you move our marriage bed, which is there in our room. Now, there's a catch to this question because that bed cannot be moved. That bed was made with one leg as an olive tree which was sunk into the ground. So that bed could
Okay.
never be moved. So she
Hmm.
had set another test. If somebody had said,
Hmm.
yes, yes, okay, I'll move it, then he was not Odysseus. So this
Hmm.
was yet another test that then Odysseus says that no, it cannot be moved, and then she accepts him. So she sets
Okay.
a test. And there is a story in some of the Ramayana, especially the Kamba Ramayana, that the
Hmm.
Sita who went to, who was abducted by Ravan was not
Hmm.
the real Sita, but a shadow Sita. The real one
Hmm.
was kept secluded. There is the same story about Helen, by the way, that it was not the
Okay.
real Helen, but a shadow Helen. Now, these are
Okay.
again very, very specific ideas, Utkarsh.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
These are not kind of general ideas, these are very, very specific
Hmm.
ideas. So,
Yeah.
how do I put things together? We've seen some very big parallels, like big war, woman
Hmm.
abducted, loyal
Hmm.
wife, test, bow test, etc. And
Hmm.
they are all picked up from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata.
Hmm.
So, the hypothesis is that during the Bronze Age, that is, say, 2500 BC, etc. At the time.
Hmm.
There was a lot of trade. And by the way, this Helen of Troy is sometimes seen to be just an excuse. Basically, all these islands were fighting each other for access to trade routes.
That's kind of how the movie Odyssey began, right? They said that
Yeah,
something. They said
yeah.
something about that.
And they said it very in a very clear fashion. I think there's a dialogue to this effect
Correct.
that it
Yeah.
was about trade routes. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, yes, he has picked up that bit from there. So
Hmm.
there was this very brisk trade
Hmm.
in goods, people, and ideas
Hmm.
from the Indian subcontinent to Greece.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Indian ideas were very much in demand. I think we have done one episode on Megasthenes. If we haven't, we should. Did we do an episode on Megasthenes Indica, Utkarsh?
No, not at all.
Okay, then we should. So, at
Hmm.
the time of Megasthenes Indica, which is of course much later, this thing
Hmm.
is very clearly articulated that for the Greeks, India is the dream. It is the ideal place. That is how
Hmm.
they thought of it. Whatever problems they found in Greece, they used to think, no, it will not be there in India. India was
Hmm.
contrasted as the better place to be. Like for example, today people are angry in India, then they think the West is best.
Hmm.
Everything works over there, the roads are good, the people are good, law and justice
Hmm.
is good. So it was like that, just flipped. So there was a weight to Indian ideas. There is a very long tradition of comparison of Greek and Indian ideas, but there is that, what can I say, very, very wrong idea of the PIE, Proto Indo European, and the
Hmm.
very, very wrong idea that everything was flowing from Greece to India and the Aryan invasion theory. So many people have done this comparative analysis, but because of the pie and because of Aryan invasion theory and that very fixed idea that everything flew only from Greece to India, they have ignored the time dimension that we talked about. They have
Hmm.
ignored the way Greek philosophy evolved. I will not go into that because nobody cares about Greek philosophy, I'm sure. But there is a very great input of Indian philosophy into Greek philosophy at a particular time. So you can see Upanishadic ideas coming into Greek philosophy at a particular
Hmm.
time. And there are
Hmm.
people who have written books on this. If anyone is
Hmm.
interested, I will link to them.
Hmm.
Thomas Machiavelli has written a huge book in 2008, comparative
Hmm.
study of Greece and Indian
Hmm.
ideas and thoughts and
Hmm.
how they have
Hmm.
crossed to each other. And
Hmm.
he is a better person because he doesn't have too many biases. But the problem with the dating of the Itihas and if the dating of Rigved, etc., remains. So many of these, you have to then reanalyze whatever he says. But
Hmm.
it's a good start if you want to look at
Hmm.
very specific things. So
Hmm.
my point here is Indian ideas and Indian stories were flowing across these trade routes, these people, these
Hmm.
ideas to the Greek islands,
Hmm.
and the Greek literary personalities
Hmm.
made of
Hmm.
them what they wanted in their culture. Now, for example, you look at Enid. The Aeneid and its hero Aeneas is actually again an attempt to give a founding story to the Roman Empire. Everyone wants to give founding stories, and this is in a different language, Utkarsh. Aeneid is written in Latin and it is written by somebody called Virgil. And Virgil was the foundation stone of the school work of schoolboys in England for at least 500 years, 800 years. Why? Because they all of them thought that the Roman Empire is our basis. The Roman
Hmm.
Empire was based on the Greek
Hmm.
Empire.
Hmm.
So Virgil took the ideas of Homer and made a kind of foundation stone for the Roman Empire because it was finally the establishment of Rome, etc., etc.
Hmm.
So we have to look at whether, as you said, these ideas are generally free floating ones which can come up anywhere, or is there any specificity to these ideas? The ways in which these ideas have been dealt with in the Iliad and Odyssey, and
Hmm.
the ways in which they have dealt with in the Itihas. the parallel is so strong that it would be difficult to say that it came up by itself.
Hmm.
Now, today you can think of something, and I can also think of something separately.
Hmm. Hmm.
But suppose you have said something because of which certain ideas come into my head, then a kind of analysis of what both of us have thought will make us arrive at that conclusion.
Yep.
And you see, the parallels are too many. What I did in the morning, Utkarsh, is just asked Claude to give examples of parallels between Homer and between Itihas. So Claude came up with about 72 of them. I do not
Hmm.
propose to bore you with 72 parallels,
Hmm.
but I'm just giving you an example of the number of parallels. And I would
Hmm.
say that since these Claude and ChatGPT types do not have that good an idea of the Ramayana and Mahabharata, they missed out many things, which I know. They missed out a number of things.
Hmm.
For instance, in this bow and arrow episode, there are 12 axes through which, because of his strength and his skill, Odysseus can actually shoot the arrow. Sri Ram has had two tests, which I told you about. There is
Hmm.
yet another test, or that there is yet another exhibition of his skill and strength. When he's fighting with Bali, he shoots an arrow through 8 sal trees.
Hmm.
See the similarity between
Hmm.
multiple axes and multiple trees, and as
Hmm.
a exhibition of skill and strength.
Hmm. Hmm.
So whether the trees become axes is not that significant. The idea is that strength and skill have to be shown. How will they be shown? They are shown in different ways, but the basic underlying idea of the strength and the skill remain the same.
Hmm.
uh, the point here is that we are looking at a substratum of ideas which is thousands of years old. So you have to do your digging in a different way. You cannot,
Hmm.
it's not copy paste that
Yeah.
you will see the same thing. You will just see the whole, the structure, the idea will be the same. The working out will be
Hmm.
culturally specific.
Yeah. 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 No, it makes a lot of sense because, as you said, these are very, very particular ideas,
Yes.
and uh, yeah, they're not entirely random, right? It's not
Yes.
as random as man and woman. That's very, very
Yes.
generic,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This is
And
particular.
you see also the another idea of exile, Utkarsh. Sri
Hmm.
Ram spent 14 years in exile.
Hmm.
Odysseus spent 20 years in exile. And
Hmm.
the whole idea, concept of the Odyssey is
Hmm.
that he wants to go home from exile.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
the push behind the entire story. And the
Yep.
Pandavas spent a couple of years in Agyatwas when they were running away
Hmm.
from murder.
Yeah.
And after that, they lived in 13 years in exile and again 1 year in Agyatwas. So
Yeah.
exile is another very common motive.
Hmm.
And
Correct.
these cannot be, one or two things can be dismissed as coincidence. But
Hmm.
can all of these be dismissed as coincidence?
No, I certainly don't think so. It's interesting. I had now particular character questions, right? Which
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
so are there? I want to know if there are any. So we got the idea, right? So you can don't have a direct parallel between Odysseus or Sita or Helen, but you've kind of laid out a
Yeah. Yeah.
thematic, and also some particular elements like divine origin, all of that. So I want to go to the some of the Greek gods and
Specific. Yeah.
monsters specifically because that's more
Gods or
interesting.
monsters, or
Both
the heroes also. Also the heroes. I
heroes,
come to
sure.
monsters, but also the heroes.
So let's start with the gods. Athena, who was there in the Odyssey, is there any Indian version? Who's Athena supposed to be?
No, so that is the goddess of war and victory. So you can say Durga ji, and there is a goddess Aparajita.
Hmm. Okay.
But I thought that we could look at the characters in the Odyssey and Iliad, Utkarsh.
So why don't you share what you think?
Yeah. So Achilles and Cud. So Achilles was put in the river Styx by his mother using his heels. So
Correct.
only his heels were left
Yeah.
vulnerable. That is how he could be
Correct.
killed.
Yeah.
Then there is a parallel in the Mahabharata, which is not with Karn, that is different. There's a parallel with Duryodhan. Before the war, his
Hmm.
mother, Gandhari, she used to keep a blindfold
Cover her
over my.
eyes. Yeah.
So she
Hmm.
said that, come to me, I will open my eyes, and my yogic strength has become so much because of this,
Hmm.
keeping my eyes closed, that whatever I look at turns into
Hmm.
stone. So you
Hmm.
will turn into stone, you will never be able to be defeated. So he
Okay.
comes in front of his mother, but due
Hmm.
to courtesy, deference, and
Yeah.
generally protocol, he wears
Yeah.
something around his thighs.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that part does
That's
not
why his
become
thighs.
stone.
Okay. And that's
Yes,
why he. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
So both their mothers protect them, but fail in a very critical, crucial instance in one part,
Hmm.
the heel
Hmm.
and the thigh. Now look
Yeah.
at Achilles. He had armor. He gives his
Hmm.
armor to Patroclus, who wears it, fights, and dies.
Oh, this is the Karn
There-
thing, right? Karn
yeah,
was
this is the
born with
current.
armor, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Achilles then has to fight with a new armor, which is not his
Hmm.
own armor, and is obviously a very weak one. So because between the
Hmm.
armor and the heel, he dies. Now, what about Karn? Karn is also a demigod in Greek terms because he is the son of Kunti and of the god Indra. So Indra
Hmm.
has given him Kavach and Kundal. Kavach is armor and Kundal is earrings. Both of them are to protect him. But Indra comes
Hmm.
as a beggar and asks him for the two things, he gives them,
Hmm.
and he has to cut them off from his body. So without
Hmm.
that, he is vulnerable.
Hmm.
And finally, he is defeated by Arjun for
Hmm.
many other reasons. So you see
Hmm.
again very specific ideas of armor, of
Hmm.
protection by mother, which are
Hmm.
taken from two different characters and go into another one.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
Achilles and Karn, the armor thing is very, very, it's eerily similar,
Hmm.
as well as I think the protection by their mother.
Hmm.
Then I was also struck by the fact, Utkarsh, that all the Pandavas are demigods.
Hmm.
Because Yudhishthir is the son of Dharmraj and a mortal
Yeah.
woman. Bhim is the
Yeah.
son of Vayu and a mortal woman, Kunti.
Hmm.
Arjun
Hmm.
is the son of Indra and a mortal woman.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Nakul and Sahdev are the
Hmm.
sons of Ashwini Kumar and of
Hmm.
Madri, who was Kunti's
Hmm.
co-wife. So they are all
Hmm.
demigods, all of them. And we have a
Hmm.
Bhim in the Iliad,
Hmm.
the Ajax. That's Ajax.
Okay.
So Ajax is the second most powerful person after Achilles in the army, and he
Hmm.
is tall, hefty, giant like Bhim.
Hmm.
So there is a bit of a parallel. Then there is also a parallel between Priam, who is the father of Troy, and
Hmm.
Dhritarashtra. Priam has 50 sons, but all of them die, and he has to see their death. Dhritarashtra has 100
And
sons,
oh
all of
wow.
them die,
Yeah.
and he has
Yeah.
to see their death. And Priam in
Yeah.
the end goes and begs for Hector's body.
Hmm.
Whereas, of course, Dhritarashtra does not, because nobody is doing anything to Duryodhan's body, but
Hmm.
Priam is killed later. But Dhritarashtra, he just goes off into the forest. He goes off
Hmm.
as an ascetic.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then I would like to draw an interesting parallel between Odysseus and Krishnji. Now,
Hmm.
Krishnji is an avatar, Odysseus is a mortal, but
Hmm.
the clever warrior idea, the
Hmm.
clever trickster warrior idea.
Hmm.
So, Krishnji has very clever ideas, and he is also, when he can't win, he runs away. Also, that's why I call Ranchor. He runs away from the battlefield
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
he runs away to Dwarka from Mathura
Hmm.
because he
Hmm.
cannot withstand Jarasandha, and he establishes a new kingdom in Dwarka. That's why he's
Hmm.
called
Hmm.
Ranchor. And he
Hmm.
has lots of little and big ideas. That idea of telling Dronacharya that Ashwathama is dead
Yeah.
was the idea of Krishna's idea only,
Yeah.
that Ashwathama is dead, Narova,
Hmm.
Kunjarova, is it
Hmm.
the man or is
Hmm.
it the elephant? It was the elephant which was
Hmm.
dead, but
Hmm.
Dronacharya thought it was his son, and therefore
Hmm.
finished. So the idea of the clever warrior remains, worked
Hmm.
out in a different way in Odysseus and
Hmm.
in Odyssey. Odysseus is a very, very clever man. He is the one who had decided how the suitors would live together happily via the oath of Tyndareus. He is the one who decided on the Trojan horse. It was his idea. So he is a very, very clever man.
Hmm.
And he knows how to win wars. And that we can
Hmm.
see about Krishnji also. Now, the
Hmm.
other interesting parallel is between Patroclus, who is the young companion of Achilles, and Abhimanyu.
Hmm.
Patroclus is a young man who is killed by Hector in
Hmm.
a not very fair manner, because he's a young man, he's not a warrior, he should not have been killed. The same goes for Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu was killed by Jarasandha.
Hmm.
Achilles vows to kill Hector by sunset. Arjun vows to kill Jarasandha by sunset. Exactly the same.
Hmm.
And then by sunset, once sunset happens, and Jarasandha thinks that, oh my, okay, I am safe. He comes out because he's been hiding the whole day from Arjun.
Hmm.
But it is actually Krishnji who has shaded the sun for a while. And when Arjun kills Jarasandh, then the sun comes out and sunset happens after that. This is another
So I have
example
a
of
question. This is such
that.
a mishmash of so many of the different themes. So
Hmm.
tell me more about Homer and what did he write and what was it supposed to be that he was writing? Was he writing history? Was he writing fiction? What do we know?
No, so he says he was writing history.
From
We
where?
say that he was
Like
writing history.
if I wake up today and said I'm writing this fictional thing, but it's history, you won't believe me, right? You're like, it's the history of what? So how
Okay,
do
but Utkarsh, you are not Homer. Okay, so
okay.
Homer was a
So let's
literary
say
giant.
J.K. Rowling wakes up. She's quite well renowned, and she says, "I'm writing this history,"
Even
and
J.K.
it's not
Rowling is not Homer. No, so this is supposed to
okay.
be a foundational story for the Greeks. So it is supposed to be their history. It is not supposed to be fiction. Today, the clever academicians say that it's all fiction and this is all mythology and these are all
Hmm.
made up gods. So I
Hmm.
don't know how much we should bend the eye of Western rationality upon Homer. I would not approve
Hmm.
of it because I don't think that's the correct way of looking at Homer.
Hmm.
So, of course, we cannot say yes. This is what Patroclus did, and this is what Achilles did, etc. But then your friend Schliemann, didn't he
Hmm.
actually excavate Troy? Because we don't know whether
Hmm.
Paris was found there or not, but he did
Hmm.
excavate Troy. So these
Hmm.
places did exist, and there was probably some kind of conflict. And the
Hmm.
story of that, it's the same conundrum as the one we have, Utkarsh, about our itihas. Is it true? Is
Hmm.
it not true? So there are, of course, there's a section of Western academicians who also try to
Hmm.
say that all this is true. There
Hmm.
are others who say that it is fiction. So I don't think that we'll be able to give any kind of yes no answer to this.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
another interesting parallel is that between Hanumanji and Hermes,
Hmm.
because Hermes is a messenger and
Yeah.
Hanumanji is also a messenger.
Yep.
Although Hermes does not really, the gods don't really take part in the fight, and Hanumanji is very much there in the middle of the fight.
Hmm.
But this is
Hmm.
also an interesting parallel.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
there is the trope of the elder statesman, Nestor,
Hmm.
and the elder statesman, Bhishma. They have,
Hmm.
like I said, Claude gave me 72 of these. I don't want to tell you 72 of these, but there are many, many, many of
Hmm.
these parallels.
Hmm.
So, in sum, what would I like to say about Itihas, Puran? Oh, wait, let me not sum it up right now.
Hmm.
I want to tell you a few other things. One is there is the code of Zeus, which is called Xenia, which is
Hmm.
you must be hospitable to others and all. So
Hmm.
there is a very exact thing in India which is called Atithi Devo Bhava.
Hmm.
It is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, Utkarsh. And the
Okay.
Taittiriya Upanishad is thousands of years older than Homer.
Hmm.
So it is quite possible that this idea too, remember all those Indian ideas, philosophical ideas which went, Upanishadic ideas
Hmm.
which went to Greece.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as a aside, let
Hmm.
me tell you that the last time I went to Greece and I was
Hmm.
taking one of those hop on hop off buses,
Hmm.
in the voiceover, they did give one little sentence that Greece is the mother and father of all philosophy in the world, but it may have been influenced a bit by philosophies which came from the East.
Oh,
So
really? Thank you.
there is an a slight bit of understanding or acceptance of the fact that yes, some influence
Hmm.
from the east could have come.
Hmm.
So now I also want to tell you of parallels with some other literary
Hmm.
uh, products of Bharat. One is
Hmm.
the poet Bhas. The poet Bhas was a little before modern times, and he wrote a play
Hmm.
called Pratigya Yogandharayan. The hero is a king of Kaushambi called Udayan. Remember his name. Udayan
Hmm.
is a invincible fighter, and he can control elephants, and he loves elephants. Everyone knows this.
Hmm.
No one can catch hold of him or they cannot defeat him. There is Chand Mahasen of a neighboring kingdom. He wants to marry his daughter to this one, Udayan, but he's too proud to ask. So he wants to capture him. What does he do? He makes a false blue elephant, dark blue elephant, and sends it in front of Udayan with his soldiers sitting inside that elephant, that when Udayan comes near the elephant and plays his veena, then they will all jump out from the stomach of the elephant and catch him. Does this remind you of something?
Well, they don't have elephants in Greece, so I guess they have to do a horse.
Yes. Yes. Now, this is also a very, very interesting parallel, don't you think so? And
You should have
about the
started off
time,
with this.
the Trojan horse and the blue elephant.
The
Maybe this
Trojan
is what you
elephant.
can, yeah, this is what you can title this
Yeah.
episode.
The real
But
Trojan horse was real. The Trojan horse
was
was
an elephant,
really an
a blue
elephant.
elephant. Yes. So, that, and then Udayan is caught, and then he goes to Magad, and then of course he sees
Mm.
Vaswadatta. He
Yeah.
becomes her teacher of the Veena, and then they
You
get
know what
married,
I
and it's
find
cycle.
so interesting about this conversation? Because if you look at the controversy around Odyssey, beyond, let's forget about the fact that it's a boring movie in our opinion. A lot of people are in uproar because they're taking something foundational to Western civilization and they are messing with it. But I bet if you went and told those same people these foundational ideas of Western civilization, here they exist earlier in
Yes,
these Eastern
yes.
stories, they will not entertain that conversation. They will be like,
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Yes, yes.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
quite. It's very intriguing and very interesting and disheartening in a way. The kind of closed-mindedness of a lot of academicians and non-academicians also. So
mm-hmm.
I hope that well, somewhere someone watches this episode because we are not talking through our collective hats. We are not even wearing them. We are talking evidence. We are talking stories. So,
Mm-hmm.
Blue Elephant is my favorite play. I love it. In
Yeah.
my own series, Urnabhi, I reference it a lot. And
Mm,
Bhas is the favorite playwright of my heroine. So, this is
mm,
something, it's my favorite story, The Blue Elephant. But
mm,
Utkarsh, I tried to find a representation of it to show people here, didn't find even one.
yeah.
It's a
Mm,
lost
mm,
story in India.
mm,
Now, some couple of small things. Odysseus had a dog which did not give up on him and
yeah.
recognized it. And
Yeah.
Yudhishthir had a dog who he did not give up on and he took him to Swarg
Correct.
at the
Yes.
end. So you see
Mm,
dogs.
mm,
Then
mm,
I found one scene very, very interesting, or one episode.
mm,
The sun god's cows, the cows of Helios, which finally they eat and therefore they are all killed. Odysseus
yeah.
crewmen.
Correct.
They
Correct.
eat. So, isn't that a kind of injunction against eating cows? Also, the word gau in
Mm,
Sanskrit means cow. It also
mm.
means sun's rays. So,
Oh.
there is such an amalgamation of both all these three ideas in the idea of the cows of Helios that I was much struck by it.
Mm,
These are these little nuggets embedded everywhere, everywhere.
mm, mm,
Xenia and Atithi
mm,
Devo Bhava, I've already told you. So now
mm.
I'll come to
Yeah.
yet another literary
Mm,
output of the Indian subcontinent, which is the
mm,
Katha Sarit Sagar, which is an
mm,
11th century Sanskrit play
mm,
written
mm,
by Somdev. However, it
mm,
is based on an original which is 26 to 2800 years old, that is 600 BCE or
Hmm.
thereabouts. And it is the story of this very same Udayan and Vasvadatta and his son Narvahan Datta. Now, both the father and son duo have many adventures, go to many places across the sea,
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
mountains. They meet
Hmm.
many, many monsters.
Hmm.
And the story of Odysseus and his sons Telemachus and Telegonus, if you look also at that lost epic which is called Telegonia, only its summaries exist. The epic itself is lost. Then the story comes through very much like Badkaha, father son duo having lots of adventures across the sea, across the mountains, meeting monsters, meeting women, marrying so many of them, having so many children. It comes through so parallelly, Utkarsh, that it is astonishing. So there is a fellow author, Pranshu Saxena of New Jersey, who actually pointed this out to me. And here's a shout out to him. Thank you for that. That the Badkaha also, which is another great story cluster of India, which was exported everywhere. Again, people, please go back and see our earlier episodes,
Hmm.
especially the one on Arabian Nights. We've talked about it in detail over
Yep.
there.
Hmm.
So this Badkaha and Udayan and Narvahandat, Odysseus and his sons Telemachus and Telegonus, that is yet another parallel. Now,
Hmm.
you know, I want to tell you the another story or event which is so complicated that I really don't know how to start with it. I'll just say something, the last
Hmm.
thing about Hanumanji, and then I'll go on to this very
Hmm.
complicated thing. So, when
Hmm.
Hanumanji was flying to Lanka, he saw many, many monsters. You wanted to talk about monsters also. So, he saw
Yeah.
many monsters. One of the big sea monsters was Sursa. Then there was another monster which ate up the shadows of people as they went past.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is kind of maybe like Scylla and Charybdis. But
Hmm.
the monster I really want to talk about is Cyclops Polyphemus. So he has one eye in the middle of his forehead,
Yeah.
and when Sri Ram and Sita ji and Lakshman go into exile, just the three of them are there. Then Ramji has to fight with this monster called Kaband. And what do you think Kaband looks like? Kaband also has only one eye.
This is a picture I would like. Do you have a picture?
Yes, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you this picture. I got a picture of Kaband. Can you see?
Oh, wait. So he doesn't have a head. He has a body with an eye on it.
Yes. Yes.
Am I seeing that correctly?
Yes, you are seeing it correctly. See, he has one
Interesting.
eye on his chest, and where
Yeah.
his stomach is, there is his mouth.
Nice. So this is the real Cyclops.
This is the real sign.
The
This is called Kaband.
OG Cyclops.
And of course, we would all, I think, remember the picture of Cyclops. So it's okay. Let me
Hmm.
not show Cyclops. But
Hmm.
this is Kaband, and it struck me that one eyed monster. That again is very specific, Utkarsh. Why one
Hmm.
eye? And
More is better
why
usually.
monster? Yeah, why monster? And why
Hmm.
a cannibal, a one eyed cannibal who just gobbles
Hmm.
up men? So there's
Hmm.
some specificity to it. This is from the
Yeah.
Ramayana, and this is Hanuman. Now I want to go back to the end, and
Hmm.
I want to tell you of something which is very basic to the
Hmm.
further establishment of the basis of the Roman Empire. So we
Hmm.
want to come to, who do we want to come to? Italus, who established Italy, and Latinus, who
Hmm.
established the Latin people. So who were
Hmm.
they? So let's start with Odysseus. So Penelope married Odysseus and had this son called Telemachus. Let us assume that he was Odysseus'
Hmm.
son. Now Odysseus also married Kirke. Remember Circe. Odysseus married her and had this son called Telegonus.
Hmm.
So, what did Telemachus do later after Odysseus was killed? He went and married Circe or Circe, and he had this son called Latinus. Now, what did Telegonus do? He married Penelope, the widow of Odysseus, and they had a child who was called Italus, and he was the establisher of Italy. Now, the question here is, what is the relationship between Latinus and Italus? Because two half brothers have married their each other's mothers. So what is the relationship between them? There is no very good answer to this. And why do I ask this question? Because you've heard of Vikram or Vetal. So the 15th story of Vikram and Vetal is that a father and his son are out in the jungle somewhere and they see the tracks of two women. And they say, we are going to rescue these women. The father says, the one who has the larger feet, I'm going to marry her, she must be the mother. And the son says, okay, I'll marry the one with the smaller feet. Turned out the other way around. So the son married the mother and the father married the daughter. So when they had children, what relation would they be to each other? This was what this was what Vetal asked Vikram. And Vikram was unable to answer. This was a story where he was unable to answer. You can go on thinking about, you can go round and round in circles. This again was pointed out by the same author, Pranchu Saxena. So very interesting parallel. And these are foundational stories. This kind of peculiar semi-incestuous thing is a foundational story for Rome, Italy, and the Latin people. And again, this is a parallel with the Badkaha. So I want to sum up all the interesting discussions we've been having. So ideas of exile, wandering, monsters, homecoming, adventures, women in different stages of problem, then getting rescued, etc. And, intra-family relationships with siblings, with friends, all these are found in all these, in Homer as well as in the Itihas. My thinking is that was an age when seafaring was a very dangerous activity but necessary. If you wanted to conduct trade, if you wanted prosperity, you had to do it. So you did seafaring, all these things happened. And you build up these big stories of monsters, etc., etc. And because all this traveling was happening, these stories traveled. These stories traveled from the Indian subcontinent to Greece. And why I say so is simply because the civilization in the Indian subcontinent is much older than that in Greece. The oldest Greek civilization is the Minoan one, which is on Crete, which is say about 2000 BCE. And the Saraswati Sindhu civilization goes back before that. And around 2000 BCE, there was a lot of trade which was happening. We've talked about it. Mesopotamia, Arcadia, etc., via the Gulf area. So these stories were bound to go from the Indian subcontinent to the Gulf area, to Iran, and then to the Mediterranean. And recognizing these parallels is not to in any way take away from the literary triumph of Homer. Because he may have got those ideas, but after all, he put it down in his own way. And that was much appreciated not just by the Greeks, but by a lot of world civilization. So we give him his due. But we also recognize that his ideas may have been fertilized, his story may have been fertilized from something which came from the Indian subcontinent. And there are many such Greek writers, Greek intellectuals who have given credit to the Indians for certain ideas. And in fact, the ideas of Indians during Alexander's time, very specifically, Alexander talked to the wise men of the East and took back a lot of ideas. And Bindusar, who was the son of Chandragupta, actually sent a letter to one of the Greek kings that I want figs and wine and one Greek wise man. He didn't get the Greek wise man because the king said, no, we don't export them like that. We can't send you. But he wanted one. So,
Hmm.
fertilization of ideas between these two civilizations has been there and has given
Hmm.
rise to many very beautiful compositions. So, let us accept it instead of fighting about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Any questions?
No, I think it makes sense. And I think it shows our passion on the topic that this is perhaps our longest podcast so far.
Yeah, to so many stories.
Yeah, good. So, what else do we recommend? Do not go and watch Odyssey. Watch something
Do not,
else.
do not go and watch Odyssey. Watch one of the older TV series or one of the
Yeah.
older versions. Lots of them have been made. This one will,
Hmm.
honestly, it'll depress you. Do not watch.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
if you want to waste money or eat popcorn, well, go ahead. I ate popcorn. That was only
I
positive
have an
side.
alternative movie for you to watch. He-Man and the Masters Universe. That was a good movie. Better than
No,
I
you saw
enjoyed it
it
more
on
than
screen.
Odyssey.
You saw
Yeah,
it on screen. I'd
I
like
did.
to
I
see
did.
it. Oh, I'd like to see it.
Yeah,
I
that
like
was.
He-Man.
I literally saw them on concurrent days. I was expecting He-Man to be a random movie. That was actually quite fun. And Odyssey was
Random.
watch inducing.
So this was
Great.
a very interesting and I think we've not made any sweeping generalizations. We have discussed at length in a very granular way, in a very, very granular way. So I hope that all of you who are listening to this will enjoy it. Come back to us with what you think of this. And we'll be back again, hopefully next week, with some new idea.
Yep. All right. Wonderful. See you next time.
Namaste. Goodbye.